Talking about the zone of interest, how I'm a fraudulent advocate for Palestine, according to TikTok. And then Saturday, Funday commences with ban appeals, meme reviews, and more. Get in now. Rephrase that Palestine bit. Also, according to TikTok, drama. I am a fraudulent supporter. I'm a fake supporter of Palestine. Okay. Do we have a blast off meme? No, I don't want to post this. I don't want to post a fucking meme with like Bonarelli's dusty ass on it. No. Who will act as a defense lawyer for the band today? No, judge, jury, executioner. I don't have a guest for banana peels. I'm going to do it myself. I saw his mind and body reactions to a battle between delusion and reality. Have you ever watched Man in the High Castle before? Yes, I have. Man in the High Castle is like one of those shows that has incredible promise and just sucks. Do we really not have one? Do we really not have a blast off? What the fuck's going on here? That's crazy. It's like, I watched it thinking it was going to be phenomenal because, like, as a concept, I love it. You know what I mean? It's very cool to think about. It's the Sabbath, man. Let me take a day off. No days off. I'm kidding. I'll find something. Hold on. Okay, well, that's, you know what? Okay, I'm going to use this one, which also is a top of the hour ad break segue anyway, because at the top of the hour, there is a 3-minute ad break. Most of them are going to be military recruitment ads, turns out. But if you have $5 or if you have a Twitch Prime readily available, you can avoid those military ads at the top of the fucking hour. Or you can get gifted a sub. Hasanabi's nipple, thank you for the 10 community gifted subs. Okay, here's the 3-minute ad break now. Where was it? Okay, here. Let's blast it off. Let's get ready to rumble. What size shoe are you? 13. I also get military recruitment ads here in the Netherlands. Good. Okay. All right. So we were just talking about Zone of Interest. This video is good too with Jonathan Glazer on the Oscars channel. Why is this age restricted?
Not a normal film in the sense of a plot.
That's the score was incredible too, by the way. Did you hear that? He does such a great job. Like, the orchestra is basically also very like industrial sounding. It's so sick.
I was to explain the story. It's about a man who has a lovely life with his family. He's very good at his job. They live in the country in a lovely house with a lovely garden. He also happens to be the commandant of Auschwitz, and the house they live in abuts the camp itself. Genocide becomes ambient to their life.
Is it true that the greatest genocide was conducted by Jewish Bolsheviks in 1919 to 1957, where they killed over 66 million Christian Russians? That's a crazy fucking dude. My dude is doing fascist propaganda, like, about the fascist propaganda that like Nazis were doing. Ironically enough, that led to the fucking thing that we're talking about. Okay? That's so sick. Yeah, dude, totally. Yeah, it was real bad, dude. It was fucking, oh man, those Jewish Bolsheviks, dude. It's awesome. My man was like, actually, I watched Zone of Interest and I thought, Why is I thought it was a wonderful slice of life anime about Rudolf Huss, my favorite commandant. Wait, they are a gaming viewer, don't ban? Fuck. Why? Why is every fucking gaming viewer straight up a Nazi, bro? Stop. Okay, we still have to ban him. That's a crazy person this to keep in the community. My man came in with the Judeo-Bolshevismus. We can't keep him in here. I'm sorry. That's like that's weird. That's too fucked up. Most leftist gamer. I hate that there's like a lot of the fucking dudes that we ban in here that like watch me play video games are just like so fucked up in the head. Lost another gaming viewer, dude.
I didn't know about the Hearst family at all, about their story. I was very surprised when Jonathan showed me how close they lived from Auschwitz and
She was
what they had
fucking fantastic, by the way. Is it weird when you're German and you play like a Nazi? I wonder if that feels a little weird. Because like if you're too good at it, it's like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when white guys in Civil War, white guys in like Civil War era historical period pieces are too good. And you're like, hold up. That just, you know, that flows off the tongue a little too good, sir. What's going on there? You just hit that hard R a little too good. I don't know. Kind of suspicious, if you ask me. No, she's a phenomenal actress. She played the role so perfectly, okay? She was so fucking gross. Like, she was so gross, especially when she like turns to the Polish servant and is like, my husband could fucking scatter your ashes over the fields if he wanted to, because of like a minor infraction that she didn't even cause. She was just the Polish servant basically served breakfast both for her and her mother because everybody thought that her mother hadn't escaped in the middle of the fucking night because she couldn't stand the smell. Not because she hated the Holocaust or anything. She thought it was Pog. And she literally goes, did you place her fucking meal in front of me specifically because you wanted to make fun of me? Is that what it is? Are you making a mockery of me? Take this away. My husband can scatter your ashes tomorrow. It's crazy. The scene with the furs fucking killed me. Yeah, they're so gross. They keep like stealing all the they keep taking all of the clothing from like the victims of the Holocaust. Anyway, let's continue.
To just forget about it.
Oh, that's literally the scene.
They had that garden, and their garden wall was the same wall on the other side that was the death camp. In our early research, the photographs, the Hoss family album is in this garden.
Oh my God, what a truthful fucking depiction. That's crazy. He did a 1-to-1. Oh my God, I didn't realize it was a 1-to-1. That's crazy. Movies on HBO Max, by the way, for those of you who want to watch. That's how I finally watched it.
You see everything. You see the pool and the slide and the greenhouse and the rest of it, but you never see the wall that abuts the camp.
There were no photographs of the wall in the camp?
No, from this angle, there is no photographs. He would have had his back to that, taking a picture of their idyllic garden.
Traditionally, the way the Holocaust is narrated, we often use the word othering or dehumanization about the victims of oppression. And I think the thing in the zone of interest was to not other the perpetrators, not dehumanize them.
What we see here is the scene where Hedwig Höss's mother is visiting them in their new home. So they're walking into the garden, and Hedwig Höss is showing her mother her achievements.
Ich bin sprachlos.
It was kind of an interesting moment for Hedwig Höss, of course, because she wants to have approval from her. She wants her admiration and, you know, her respect for the way that she's living.
At that point in the film, Hedwig's mother is a surrogate for us as a kind of, she's a newcomer into the thing. We've been in the world a bit.
Das hier ist die Mauer vom Lager.
Ja, das ist die Lagermauer. Also da haben wir auch noch Wein gepflanzt, damit das zuwächst, damit man das nicht mehr so sieht.
I was a bit frightened
Like, dude, there's not a dude, every time there's like random scenes where you see the smoke coming off the top of the train that's like literally bringing in new prisoners into the camp. Like, it's just always there. The sounds are always there. It's crazy.
Before that scene, because it's a long one. Yeah, so we shot it all in one. As you can see, it's a one shot.
Und hier ist der Kohlrabi, die Kinder
Look,
essen waren.
barbed wire.
The line that is correct.
You can't tell, by the way, you can't tell from like these scenes, but there's always constant fucking machines pounding, constant gunshots. That's ever present. The camp is ever present.
Our research is the Queen of Auschwitz, which was a line that, again, I think it was one of the prisoners' testimonies who worked in the house. That's what he referred to her as.
Der Rudi nennt mich die Königin von Auschwitz.
Rudi calls me the Queen of Auschwitz.
Yeah, to say that sentence was not easy. To find the right dosage of vanity and childlike, naive ingredients.
I really wanted to examine the subject almost anthropologically, to look at them and their behavior. How they thought was less important to me to how they acted. And I wanted to avoid the artifice of cinema. I didn't want to glamorize them. And Chris and I used to talk about it being like a sort of big brother in the Nazi house. And I had no interest in making it if I couldn't make it this exact way.
For the first probably month, I did struggle with the proximity. I was very glad to see our walls go up because it just kept it away from me. But of course, it doesn't stop dawning on you where you are.
It was very different from everything I did before because,
Would you say the director and the set designers did a good job to make the camp function as not only always lingering background, but also a character? Yes. That's actually a really good way to put it. Holy shit. Yes. The camp itself is literally a character. It's always there. It lingers. It haunts you every fucking step of the way. There is not a, you said that like 5 times already. I can't get over it, dude. It's just like such a creative way to describe, to show something without showing it. It's in every fucking scene.
We decide we don't want to make this like a movie set. We just want to have a house and a garden and nobody there. No film crew, not to impose any look, the most objective as possible. So we're looking for frames and we just hardwired everything. So we try to hide cameras in bushes, in the cupboards. We chose Leica lenses, which are German lenses, which are not fancy, were not vintage, no filters, no light, no film gear.
Yeah, they use 5 fixed cameras.
When we had everything, just, escaping.
3, 2, 1. It is on time, it is on time.
So, we had everything in one go. Close-ups, wide shots, everything.
Sometimes we were filming scenes in 3 rooms simultaneously. The idea was to try and be invisible to the actors, to create an arena for them and watch their behavior within that arena. It gave us the ability to kind of capture things in real time, which is so important to create present tense as an experience.
Dude, yeah, dude, this part is also like every part of this movie is incredible. I love this part especially because he's so process oriented. Like, you can tell he's such a thorough person, and it comes across in every fucking scene. Like the way he takes his boots off when he's entering his own house, and then immediately you have one of the servants pick up his boots, clean it, leave it, and another servant picks up the boots after they're cleaned and puts it outside of his room. Like, you see it. Like, you see he is bringing this level of intensity and this level of rigidity to every aspect of his life. He wants to be a perfect Nazi. He believes in the theory, and you can tell he believes in even the aesthetic aspect of fascism. Right? He is 100% through and through on board with the Nazi agenda. He talks about how he's a settler, how he's doing everything right, like, building a beautiful home, an idyllic home next to the fucking Auschwitz camp with like a perfect garden.
In this way, it feels real. Sometimes we had very precise lines and very precise situations. And sometimes I was allowed to repeat the lines when I have the feeling, now this is time. And we had all the time in the world.
It's so funny seeing this guy with the fuckboy broccoli cut. I did not think that it was like that. Is that autism or just being German? I mean, Germany is one of the most autistic countries on the planet. So I think that's just reductive to ask.
We didn't know what they would capture, what the frame.
It literally, bro, come on. We always joke about this. Like, Germans literally don't know how to laugh. Like, thank you, 34MKD50, for the 50 gifted subs. Germans literally just have never laughed ever in their lives. There's not like, my community, we always joke about how like they just can't understand jokes. They think jokes are reactionary inherently, blah, blah, blah. That's like the entire country of Germany.
Frame was, and
we are true. We don't laugh. It's not optimum.
Everybody was in the same focus all the time, in the same tension. And we only had each other to play with.
Yeah, the cinematography also shows how important the aesthetics are. Everything is clean and framed perfectly, from the color grading to the composition. You get that sense of purity and how sterile things are. Yeah. Everywhere. When he goes back, you see it still.
It had a very centering effect, that you definitely knew you were all alone with the story, with the history. But it was very, very special, and you don't have that very often.
Wir müssen den Tatsachen ins Auge sehen. Wir müssen von hier fortgehen.
Nee, du musst von hier fortgehen.
John said for me to create this character, to dive into his darkness, if you speak the truth, then lie with your eyes. And if your eyes tell the truth, then lie with your mouth. And that was really important, that we don't feel his real thoughts. We see him as a normal, sometimes boring person, but we don't see him act like a perpetrator. And this was really a challenge.
Erledigen Sie das.
Das werde ich. Ich weiß das Vertrauen zu schätzen, das Sie mir entgegenbringen.
Rudolf Hoss sort of rang hollow, really. These people were not charismatic. I talked to Christian a lot about how they were occupied with doing rather than thinking. In fact, they were non-thinking. Sandra Huller rejected the project point blank because she'd sworn to herself that she was never going to portray a Nazi.
I decided to be a part of it. It was really kind of a painful decision.
Bro, she fucking acted her face off in this, straight up. She acted her tits off, dude. She was so good.
I had a lot to think about, a lot of meetings with Jonathan, a lot of
She was a little too good, if you know what I mean, okay?
It's a good idea to be involved. I think it was necessary that she would not get any of my capability to feel or be empathetic.
No, Will didn't watch this movie because Will has a strict policy of like, no, if it's going to make me feel bad, I'm not watching it.
Play someone and walk around inside my body and my imagination, and I look where they sit, what they do, and there was just nothing. It was just empty.
It's so important to allow the audience to be able to project themselves onto these people. So Paul and I will go through hundreds of hours of footage.
No,
we
it's
don't
all
assemble.
subtitles.
There's
it's
no
not
point
dubbed.
in assembler editing anything. We really
it's
grow
subs,
it
not
from
dubs.
the inside.
Because all of these cameras are locked off. It gave us opportunities throughout the film to be retiming action, to balance up frames and help continuity across cuts and stuff like that. When Hedwig and her mother come down the stairs outside the house, the kids are playing. And when we cut back to them as they're going through the gate, we cut back to the kids. We retimed them slightly so their action was working differently. Phase one, we edited a family drama, and it was just that. Only when JB started working together on specifics of what it was that was over the wall, that really defined that edge between like what we're seeing and what we're hearing.
On the other side of the wall,
yeah, this
murder happening.
Another
all the time.
moment.
We went to great lengths to be accurate about how that was represented. We created a library of sound that took many months. Prisoner and guard interactions, executions. We kind of saw it as two films, a film that you see and a film that you hear. We tried to kind of somewhat blur the lines so that you weren't necessarily sure what you were hearing, and it could be a good sound or a bad sound. Is that the children I'm hearing, or does that come from over the wall?
And then that would affect what you were doing. Like if you were doing something where music was doing that.
We already knew there was voices, so we'd already recorded these voices, but they were sort of there in this way that was like maybe a bit ominous. It was like a clue. I feel like John would have the guts in a way to be like, well, what about, you know, in a direction that like no one else is really going to be able to do.
We were looking for the right place to...
By the way, after watching this movie, seeing the fake criticisms that came after Jonathan Glazer's brave speech at the Oscars made me so mad. Okay? I didn't even watch the movie beforehand, and I read the fucking articles, and I was like, this is so dumb. I haven't even seen the movie yet, and I know you're missing the point. Now that I've actually seen the movie, it is blood-boilingly fucking stupid. Have you no shame, no sense of honor, no sense of decency that you thought you could get away with reviewing a fucking movie suspiciously right after Jonathan Glazer's Oscar speech where he said correct things about Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza? What kind of criticism was there? Oh my God. We're going to look at it in a second. There's a New York Times piece and a CNN piece. And oh my God. Every single person that was glazing this shit up beforehand, after Jonathan Glazer's speech, were like, it's actually really bad, Sweaty. This motherfucker won a Best Director and what was it? They won 2 fucking Oscars for this movie. It was incredible. It wasn't even a fucking review. It was just like, I don't like it. I don't like it. The opinion, the zone of interest. A Holocaust movie without Jews. Fuck you. Absolutely fuck yourself. Oh, he didn't win Best Director. Sorry. Best Foreign Film and Sound Design. Not Best Director. Yeah, 3 months after its release, suck my fucking cock. Okay? The reviews came out in December. Everybody loved it. You fucking bitches. Fuck you. Fuck you, dude. Absolutely fuck yourself. You have no shame. You have no shame. You have no honor. The Zone of Interest review. The Holocaust reduced to background noise. Weird. This one pissed me off too. And this one is an early review. Updated on February 23rd.
To shoot the film. And the first idea was to shoot it in the real Hess house, which is still existing there. We ended up...
They didn't even like... You run into the problem of like glazing the Nazis when you do Holocaust movies like this, right? If you make the characters like charismatic, for example, if you make them likable in any capacity, you're doing a disservice, right? And it can sometimes happen, right? That is literally like a genuine problem. It is a real problem with making historical depictions like this. Except he literally didn't do that at all. He did such a perfect job of showing how fucking wormy and how like sniveling and how conniving these dipshits are, right? Like they're just bad. Like I don't even mean like they're bad as like they're Nazis and obviously Nazis are bad. I mean, they're bad because they're like gross people. Like even if these characters were just like pulled out of Auschwitz and put in a slice of life somewhere else in like 2024, you would be like, you're gross. You're a gross person. You're constantly worried about the wrong things. You're constantly worried about your own self-interest. Like, so I think they did a really, really, really good job of showcasing that because they're just so shitty. They're like, ugh, I can't believe that like you're not getting the promotion that you deserve. You know what I mean? It's like they're just like bad in a very normal way too. They're not just like bad because they're doing the Holocaust. They're also just like gross. And you see it. You see it literally in every single scene. You see it. You're like, ugh. You're so pathetic. You're like a bad person on top of, conducting an operation in Auschwitz and like killing fucking, doing mass murder, mechanizing death. It's great. I think it's fucking awesome the way that they showed it.
Really very, very close to Auschwitz Museum, just behind the wall.
Yeah, like Hans Landa is fucking sick. You know what I mean? And that's a problem with an actor like the guy who plays him. The Quentin Tarantino loves using him, but he's like actually dope. You know what I mean? Christoph Waltz never looks bad in Inglourious Basterds. He looks awesome. He is so cool. And he's a phenomenal actor, by the way. Yeah, the worst part of the Nazis was that they were essentially wage slaves. What do you mean? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What? No, I'm saying that like he does such a good job of showcasing, like not even for a brief moment, making them look good at all, because he shows like how even removed from like them being Nazis, like right in the background of right in front of Auschwitz, they were still like, there's such like, you're saying what? That they're so tied to their jobs. It's a joke. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. That person was just joking. It's just they're just shown as like sniveling little wormy people, and I like that a lot. I think that was very good. Yeah, they're like, they barely register as good people. They don't, even if you removed fascism from the equation, and I like that a lot. It's just like the worst type of coworker that you have. You know what I mean? You know exactly what I'm talking about. The guy who's like constantly being like, actually, maybe we shouldn't take, maybe we should be working a little bit more efficient for the bosses. Like, fuck you.
Practically. The museum opened their archives for us, so Jonathan and the production designer really could go through and get what we wanted to make this film as real as possible.
I think because of the proximity where we actually were, attuned everyone. The girl that you're seeing in this scene, we call her Olusia, and the Olusia is actually the code name that she was given by the Polish underground at the time. She's based on a real woman who I met when she was 90 years old.
The real Alexandra passed away days, weeks after John met her, and she told her story, which was transcribed, and the film is dedicated to her memory at the end.
There was a time when I really personally didn't want to continue with this project because of its perpetual darkness. I was looking for something other than that, because there is something other than that in human nature, even in these moments, in these contexts. There is goodness. She presented that to me in a way that I felt blessed by, to be frank, and she was a force, you know. And I think what you're seeing here is that you're seeing energy. She did what she was able to do. So, you know, they'd run documents secretly, they'd exchange messages on ribbons, hair ribbons, that would go in and out of the camp. They found ways of communicating, and that's what you see in this scene. She would also leave food for people who were starving and dying, and that she saw outside her bedroom window every morning, going to these construction sites, basically slave labor, brutalized until they were dead, and as a 12, 13-year-old girl. So her instinct, very simple, natural instinct, was to leave food where she could and when she could. She, in many ways, was the reason why we're sitting here.
Nothing was visible. There was blackout. So that is why we use a military camera. We somehow adjusted to filming, which was not easy because it was designed for completely different things. It had quite low resolution. It was 1K because we need to crop it because it was 4:3, and we use artificial intelligence to add more resolution, and it looks really amazing.
Figuring out how to get out of our regular color Sony Venice into that, there were various places.
No, she was a Polish resistance. This is a real person. Alexandra Biostorn Kolodziej, I don't know how to say her last name. But she was a Polish World War II resistance worker and a witness to the Holocaust. A young girl, she left food for prisoners at Auschwitz concentration camp. She later joined the Union of Armed Struggle resistance group and carried messages for them. This is a real person that Jonathan Glazer met. Jonathan Glazer also said in an interview, I don't know if he says it here, that like there was a moment where he was like, this is so fucking gruesome. I don't know if I can keep working on this project. And then he was like, I have to put, he literally was like, I have to put something like positive in it. Oh, he said it 3 seconds ago. I missed it. Sorry. I was just reading an interview.
It was the fairy tale, the story that Rudolph was telling his children that unlocked a boundary or a joining of the two things.
By the way, fucking Pepsi Zero Sugar, big L for me. I ordered a bunch of Diet Cokes, and I guess they were out of Diet Cokes, and they substituted for Pepsi Zero Sugar, so now I'm fucking suffering, okay? Suffering with this grossness.
Da kam aber das schneeweiße Vögelein geflogen und sang. Hüt dich, sieh dich für.
Make sure it's boycott. Man, shut up. We're going to talk about that in a second.
I started
after
trying
this.
to sort of look at this as a mirror of our lives now and the things we accept. The whole idea of this project was to try and present or reflect our similarities with perpetrators. There's nothing special about them. They are us and our neighbors.
What about the boycott? We'll talk about that in a second. Is Pepsi okay? Lol. Yeah. So yeah, after watching this movie, this review made me even more mad. The film documents the mundane life of the family Auschwitz commander. While the evil of Nazism is an abstraction in the movie, out of sight and out of mind, viewers are invited to identify with the daily life of the family Huss. The lush images of the film convey an idyllic family life with an immaculately clean house and bountiful garden. The Nazis loved their children and their pets. They played the piano. It's so funny that, like, this is not, like, you literally have to. I mean, if you watch the movie, it's not even missing the point. You are just lying, okay? No, you are just lying. There is no way that you can watch this movie and get this takeaway, okay? There is no way that you can watch the movie and have this takeaway because of the careful and very considerate way that Jonathan Glazer depicted these people, okay? Because that's the reason why I spent like 10 minutes talking specifically about how gross and wormy the Hess family is in general. No, even if you're a fucking Nazi and you watch the movie, you're going to be like, oh man, they really fucked this up. Like, they made him look so awful. It's just so... My biggest criticism is it's a hard to understand movie without knowing the background. No, it's not. It's literally everywhere. Glazer has explained that his goal was to show that the perpetrators of the Holocaust were not monsters, but humans just like us. It could have happened anywhere, to anyone, by anyone. Viewers are invited to consider that as we go about our mundane lives, evil is taking place somewhere behind a wall, which we choose not to look over. Also, who the absolute fuck doesn't know about the Holocaust? Like, that's so funny. It's like, yeah, I watched this movie that was depicted in this place called Auschwitz. I just don't really understand what was going on there. There was a lot of furnaces. To me, their evil lies in their casualness of the disregard of the people in Auschwitz. It's not in the physical violence that is often depicted in war, like gory scenes in cinema, but in how they carry themselves, their attitude and rhetoric. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I felt, and I have more of an impact this way. I think, like, the subtle moments where they acknowledge Jewish people as like tricksters and evil while literally fucking stealing their shit as they're being slaughtered and gassed and put into fucking furnaces, like, you know, 10 feet away behind the wall, is perfect. It's perfectly demonstrated. Glazer has explained that his original goal was to show the perpetrators of the Holocaust were not monsters, but the whole idea of making a Nazi pastoral film is historically misleading and frankly offensive. As Israeli film critic Avner Shavit has pointed out, Glazer has managed to make a film about the Holocaust in which we never see any Jews. Oh my God. That was another thing that I thought was really interesting, and I think, like, is a nod to Israel's perpetration of its genocide in Palestine, is that they literally are, like, supposedly grossed out by Jewish people, but they're not so gross that they will fucking put, like, Hedwig literally finds lipstick in the pocket of one of the stolen fur coats, right? From one of the Jewish victims that was put into the concentration camp and subsequently killed. And she is not so grossed out by Jewish people that she literally takes the fucking lipstick out and uses it. And to me, that's like another great example that they're like, that it's kind of, it's no different than the way that people talk about like Arabs, like the way that Zionists, ultra Zionists, like those TikToks that you watch of them being like, oh, I'm so grossed out by them. But they have no issue. They have no issue fucking taking Arab culture, Arab food, Arab music, and just like using it and saying, no, this is our thing, actually. This is great. Taking their homes, you know what I mean? Doing panty raids. But the Holocaust happened to the Jews at the hands of the Nazis, and their collaborators and specificity should not be diluted into general mediation on the banality of evil. Yeah. Anyway. So there, I think, like I said, the river scene is really great because, and also Hedwig's mom leaving in sheer disgust is really great because honestly, it basically shows, it reduces like how inhumane these fucking people are because they see it as a mere inconvenience, never thinking about knowing exactly what's going on behind those walls and never thinking about how inhumane it is that they're doing this, but instead just going, ugh, gross. Like it's a nuisance for me. Like, oh no, I swam in the river with like dead body parts and that's like gross. Not thinking about like you killed those people. Okay. It's always like, oh, the minor inconveniences of like living next to a death camp. And I think that's a really good way to show how these people operated. And also, the reason why I love the movie specifically is because there are a million phenomenal movies on the Holocaust in general that also shows Jewish people, that does all of that, right? It shows the American soldiers, brave warriors. It shows the Jewish victims of the Holocaust. They show all the victims of the Holocaust. There's like a fucking 1,000 of them. So it's great that like this wasn't yet another classic, almost like a cliche movie surrounding the Holocaust, and instead did the exact same job by covering it from the perspective of the Nazis. Just a regular old life. This is the longest movie review ever. Suck my dick. It's a great movie. I really liked it. Okay. Anyway. And of course, everybody fucking got super mad. In his Oscar acceptance speech, Jonathan Glazer issued a universal moral warning against dehumanization. His aim was not to descend to the level of political discourse. Critics who expected a clear political stance or a film solely about the genocide did not grasp the depths of this message. Zone of Interest is not a film about the Shoah. It is primarily a profound warning about the humanity and its nature. Auschwitz Memorial Director Dr. Pyotr Shawinski said this. Well, I think this is surprising because I remember like a lot of the every single thing that I've heard from like other Holocaust memorial museums and whatnot have been like so fucking aggro. Anyway, how does it compare to Boy in the Striped Pajamas? I haven't seen that. Have you been to Auschwitz? No, I have not. A piece in Israeli media recently showed restaurant owners whining about having to pay more for dishwashers as Palestinians can't come into work anymore. Yeah. And here is Ben Shabibo's review. In Jonathan Glazer's Zone of Interest, you don't see one Jew. Those are the best Jews, according to Glazer. The faceless victims screaming in the distance. Ironically, he's the villain, picking up awards from the bodies of those anonymously dead Jews while ignoring the living ones getting slaughtered in the Gaza envelope by genocidal murderers. Yeah. It's classic. So fucking stupid. Anyway, a lot of this stuff is dumb. A lot of the criticisms of the movie that came after the speech were so fucking idiotic, like frustratingly idiotic. It's good. We've covered it. We've done enough. We've done enough coverage over it. I really liked it though. Really, really great movie. 9 out of 10. Have you ever seen the movie E.T.? No, I have not. You didn't get the point of the movie? I don't think you got the point of the movie. Family's depicted as mundane and normal. He reads to his kids. They play in the river together. He teaches his son about nature. The viewer is being challenged because these are normal people, which are witnesses or commit and do nothing about unthinkable crimes. What crimes are we witness to? Wait, what? No, I did get the point. I think, yes, while that is the underlying point, he also does a very good job of showing how gross they are in general. Hello? I disagree. Bro, you cannot, I don't know. He's just doing his job. Okay, sure, dude. All right, we're moving on from this. All right. I covered it for like an hour and 30 minutes at this point. So, you know, it's we're not going to do that. Anyway, here's a TikTok that I was famously featured in randomly. I don't know why.
10 years. How much money do you think you deserve in allowance each week?
It's an insane TikTok.
I don't know, like a buck. Christopher.
$4.
William.
I don't know, like a buck.
Ryan.
I don't know, like a buck.
Spencer.
I don't know, like a buck.
Max.
I don't know, like a buck.
Thomas.
Maybe buck.
Henry.
I don't know, like
$1 million.
Peter.
I don't know, like
Apothecary.
Helldiver CEO so honest, he openly said get it later. Yeah, there's a couple things that the CEO has done so far that is like kind of Nintendo, but in a good way. Nintendo is an awful company overall for its rigorous IP protection, but like they're in a very cool and very Japanese way. Sometimes like they'll do this thing where they'll be like, oh, in a period of downturn, instead of doing mass layoffs, we've decided like we're gonna try to limit the amount of return we give back to like shareholders, things like that. And I have no idea what the fuck happened in this TikTok. I don't know. Speaking of TikTok though, there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is about my fraudulent behavior. That's right, I want to come clean. I'm a grifter and I'm a fraud. And I actually, for the past 10 years, have been lying about my support for Palestinian emancipation. Why am I saying this? It's because Zoomers on TikTok, and I didn't even realize that this was going on, have decided that that is the case. They've decided that I care more about the top of the hour ad break than anything else. Clip it and ship it. I'm a fraudulent bitch. Don't be fraudulent at the top of the hour, though. Subscribe for $5 or for free. Now, as you guys probably recall, I made it to Australian news even because a Hasanabi head came up to me while we were in Melbourne attending the Palestinian protests. Where is it? Where is that clip? Does anyone have that clip specifically? I'm going to try to find that TikTok as well that like banged. It's got like 80K likes. Hold on.
Now to a dude called Hassan who...
Let's just watch the clip. Only the clip right here. And then beyond that, okay, beyond the clip that went viral and made its way into and got 730,000 views on Australian news. Okay. We will talk about the secondary impact.
I'm sorry, I forgot to say you need to stop drinking Coke Zero on stream.
Why?
It's boycott.
Wait, is it?
You're preaching pro-Palestine and you're drinking all this boycott stuff. Please, Hassan, at least pretend. Do it off stream. Please.
Okay, I'll put it in a glass. Is Pepsi okay?
No.
No.
No soda, son.
I didn't know it was like that.
I'm trying to stop him. He's an animal.
I tried to stop him. He's an animal. So that was like a brief altercation. I obviously didn't want to like debate on camera in that moment. So many Zoomers on TikTok give me secondhand embarrassment, and that makes me want to gouge my eyes out. So while that had happened, it turns out, and I thought people were just like saying that she was cringe or whatever. A lot of right wingers immediately pounced on this and were like, yeah, You guys are fucking, this is what you deserve, Hassan, you fucking idiot. You fucking dumbass. Like, you deserve this. This is the community that you've cultivated. Like, and everyone was like basically making jokes about her being maybe a little overzealous, right? While it was not that serious of a moment, or at least I thought, and right-wingers basically uses an opportunity to just like conveniently avoid talking about Palestine and the ethnic cleansing campaign that was going on, for the record, which is still ongoing, mind you. And they shifted their attention away to how cringe this is. Okay, how cringe, pro-Palestinian people are. Ultimately, it doesn't fucking matter. They are on the right side of history, and also are doing their very best, all things considered. Okay. I did not want to debate the efficacy of like Coke versus Pepsi or any of those things in that very moment, because I thought that would be silly. However, the funniest was him implying that even you are annoyed by your own chatters. Like, bro, are you new here? Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even make sense. This is the community you cultivated, is what everyone's overarching attitude was. And how she was also a hypocrite herself. That's what they were saying, because they were like, oh, even if you drink Coke, just don't show it. Stuff like that. And I thought it was over after that. I thought the right wing got their licks in. They thought it was funny, blah, blah, blah. They owned the left, even though they're owning the left on what? Like the left not wanting genocide. Okay. But it turns out it didn't end there at all, because 4 days ago, apparently people are actually very mad at me on the at least Australian side of of TikTok. Where the fuck is it? Like, I'm gonna try to find this one clip. I responded to it on like to that person who had posted about it. There were apparently people that were mad because I said I'm a true blue Aussie. That's one thing. Not realizing that, like, I love that shit. I mean, I LARP as like an American hog as well. It's funny, the community cultivated argument only ever applies to you when they're bitching. Other streamers in their awful communities, though, no separate entities. Hold on. I can't even find this fucking thing. Why don't you just BDS? First of all, I do BDS. The fuck do you mean? Shut up. And I'm going to get to that in a second. Okay. But I just want to show this. I want to show this reaction. But I can't find it. Fuck. Why can't I find it? Where can I find the what do you call it? Oh, Hijabi Barbie. That's the one. So here, Hijabi Barbie says, and I don't want you guys to yell at her, okay? I don't. Do not fucking disrupt this person's life. Do not yell at this person. Do not comment on this person's fucking TikToks or anything like that, okay? That is not the point, because ultimately, these people are on the right side, okay? They might be a little overzealous and they might be a little unproductive, but they are still ultimately on the right side, okay? These people are allies. So I just want to mention something here. What do you want? Okay, fine. You can get off. She said, this is my friend. She is correct. He could at least pretend and drink it off screen instead of streaming himself, holding it to his millions of viewers, essentially being a walking advertisement. She's standing on business and holding him accountable. Drink some water, bro. It ain't hard. If this was a dude, y'all would have made velocity edits by now. This got 83,000 likes. And I did not, because I didn't understand originally why. Like, I thought people were just like baiting. I thought people were joking. Millions of viewers. Okay. So here's the thing. If Coca-Cola isn't on the official BDS list, then why is it on a bunch of the social media BDS posts? I don't know where people are getting this from, but this is the list I've always worked off of. This is from the BDS movement website. Act now against these companies profiting from the genocide of the Palestinian people. Not only have I also been an obvious supporter of BDS for many, many years, talked about it, talked about some of the complications, okay? The official BDS list literally has these companies: the consumer boycott targets, AXA, Puma, Carrefour, HP, Chevron, Caltex, Texaco, and the like, SodaStream. There are pressure targets here as well. There are organic boycott targets and divestment and exclusion targets. So the list on here is designed specifically by people who are trying to focus their efforts into a narrow direction to max out its efficiency. Okay? The Palestinian BDS National Committee, the largest coalition in Palestinian society that is leading the global boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, salutes activist organizations and institutions worldwide that have expressed meaningful solidarity with our urgent struggle to stop Israel's unfolding genocide in Gaza by escalating boycott and divestment campaigns. Okay? The spreading boycotts of complicit Israeli and multinational corporations can be effective if done strategically. Ending all state, corporate, and institutional complicity with Israel's genocidal regime is more urgent than ever. So the reason why they talk about targeted boycotts versus non-targeted boycotts also is that is because they want to make sure that they are boycotting specific things so that it is more impactful. Okay? If you just decide, for example, that you don't like a certain brand because you heard it or something pops off on social media and you decide to go, all right, this is a bad brand, don't fucking touch it, you are lightening the impact. You are basically changing course. You're focusing on too many different things. Okay? Now, there's a reason why they have targeted boycotts like this. Know what to boycott. Targeted consumer boycotts are convincing retailers across the world to stop selling products of companies profiting from Israel's crimes. Many Israeli exporters complain that it is getting harder for them to export their products. Okay? Virtually all Israeli companies are complicit to some degree in Israel's system of occupation and apartheid. We focus our boycotts on a small number of companies and products for maximum impact. Okay? Check with BDS organizations in your country for the brands being targeted in your community. And here are the companies, as we've shown. Okay? So the reason why Coca-Cola or Pepsi are not a part of this, for the record, the reason why Coca-Cola or Pepsi are not a part of this this targeted boycott, I suspect, is because they don't consider them to be a mountain that they want to tackle because of the indirect impact. Okay? Here's the problem. These companies are all fucking dog shit anyway. And they all do, in some ways, every single company does, in some ways, support Israel. Every single company on the planet does. Israel is an ally to the United States of America. Okay? So technically, you could say that about every fucking company, pretty much. Okay? Consumer side protest never works. This is a Hogwarts discourse all over again. Consumer side protest doesn't work if it's not directed. Okay? Consumer activism doesn't work if it's just simply on Reddit and on TikTok. It needs to be directed with a very specific purpose towards very specific companies. That's what BDS seeks to do. Do you understand? Now, the problem for me in particular isn't necessarily just that, like, this is silliness. I didn't think that this was that serious of an issue until I saw so many people being like, Hassan preaching that he's pro-Palestine then proceeds to not take your friend seriously is so insane to me. Like, can he practice what he's preaching? Hassan loses me more and more as time goes on. His disinterest said a lot. Looking cool was his number one priority in that moment. So y'all finally see through Hassan. At least pretend like the rest of us. She is 100% correct. Understandable, but also starting to sense with you need to usually doesn't transmit well, speaking from experience. It's a pop can. The way she just stops, you can see hope leave her eyes. Wait, Coke's in the boycott? I never knew. All Coca-Cola products. So The issue here is people being like, yeah, actually, these guys are fraudulent. Now, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because, wait, what? It's true that you often act as if you know better before hearing people out, even when they are on our side. Extra boycotts against Israel are good, actually. Okay, but not directly. That's a silly argument. It's true that you often act like you know better. I'm sorry, dude, but to a certain degree, I do know better. Okay? And even if I did not know better, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not going to fucking hear about not being a good advocate for Palestine from people who were 6 years old when I was literally a fucking advocate for Palestinian emancipation publicly. Okay? That's my issue. If you think I'm anti-Palestine, your worldview is fucking warped. Stop with this fucking idiotic purity testing. That's my point. I know you guys' heart is in the right place, and I love TikTok. Okay? I love TikTok for this reason. Hassan, this is your entire audience? No, it's not. And you're a fucking dumbass. Take a day off, Amelia, 54-month subscriber. It is very frustrating to hear people say, Hassan, this is your whole audience, while you are literally experiencing me describing why this is silly behavior. This is housekeeping. You're watching me engage in housekeeping through commentary as I am purposefully walking you through the steps of why this kind of behavior is like inherently reactionary and is anti-solidarity in general. If I didn't care about it, I would have just let it go. Okay? It's simply someone being like, I'm more woke than you. I actually have a better way of doing things and you don't, and you're impure and you're actually not a real supporter. Okay? You raised 1 million for Palestinian aid. Why are people saying you're not real pro-Palestine? What the fuck? I know. It is ridiculous. Okay? It is ridiculous. And like I said, these people, their hearts are in the right place. Okay? This situation is where a lot of people are late to the party and are trying to overcorrect for their lateness. I get it. Why do leftists get like this, man? What the fuck? Y'all need to talk to normal people. Exactly. Exactly. Like, the point is, there's a reason why organization of this sort works. Okay? There's a reason why the consumer-driven boycotts need to be targeted and directed at specific brands. Because if you spread yourself too thin off of TikToks that you watched, you're going to inevitably arrive at a less effective boycott movement overall. Okay? Calling you a fraud makes you seem insidious when the way better stance to take would be try to gently inform or woke scold you like the girl in the video kind of did. Yeah. That's the point. The point is that there is a lot of momentum. There is a lot of momentum right now towards Palestinian emancipation. There is some level of solidarity that has been achieved due to the gruesome actions of the genocidal apartheid state of Israel. Okay? And TikTok is very important for that. But this kind of attitude, unironically, is counterproductive. When you do something like this, you must ask yourself, if you fancy yourself to be an activist, you must ask yourself, am I taking a step in the right direction? What ended up happening here? Did I actually end up, achieving a positive goal here? Or did I end up achieving a negative goal here? Holding me, of all people, accountable for drinking Diet Coke or whatever the fuck is like, are you actually moving the advocacy for the emancipation of Palestinians in the right direction? Think like that. I have finish your actual point about you being there a little confusion over the Coke stuff. Even I only saw the BDS list you showed, so the fan blowing up over a genuine mistake that's already confusing is counterproductive. Add that to your analysis. I did. The reason why the right wing used that clip to their advantage was because it was a fun distraction to show how fucking silly and crazy leftists are, right? To the average person, the goal is to make people literally advocating against genocide look deranged. And they used that very effectively. They made great propaganda off of that, which is insane to me because they are the fucking deranged ones. The deranged ones are the ones who are defending ongoing ethnic cleansing. But they're more organized and they're coming at it from a position of power anyway. A lot of TikTok people make up their own BDS list to follow instead of the official one. Like they often say the big three is McDonald's, Starbucks, and Disney. It's well-intentioned, but mostly Zoomers who think they know best, in my opinion. One thing I've heard from very large TikTokers is nobody knows those brands from the official list. So I think they want to be helpful, but don't really get it, you know? Exactly. Now, it's great. Your heart is in the right place, okay? I love you all for defending Palestinians. I love you all for consistently advocating for the emancipation of Palestinians to put an end to this genocide. And even if we have our disagreements, even if you yell at me, it doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. I think that it's perfectly fine as long as, you know, your heart is in the right place, as long as you're still doing this. I do, however, think it's unproductive. Okay? I do. It's unproductive. Coordinate with actual advocacy organizations so that, you know, your methods are a little bit more successful. Okay? Isn't this just rage bait for people defending you to search up their users and becomes part of their For You page? I don't know. But like, the point is this, right? Saying that I'm like fraudulent in my defense of Palestinians is ludicrous. It's ridiculous. Like, I almost exclusively cover Palestinian emancipation since October 7, every single day. I've lost a third of this community. This community used to be 30,000. Now we're 20,000 individuals in here. Now, I'm not saying, oh, look at me, I'm fucking the victim here. I'm not. The real victims are the Palestinians, and I will continue covering it. The reason why I don't chirp about it that much is because I think it's irrelevant and meaningless to talk about such a thing as I live in the comfort of my fucking home as Palestinians are starving. Okay? As Palestinians are starving and being murdered senselessly in Gaza and in the West Bank as well. But make no mistake, saying that like, saying that I'm not like sufficiently pro-Palestinian because you saw me drinking Diet Coke is crazy. Hyper-focusing on that aspect of what you've been led to believe is the best possible way to fucking advocate for Palestinians is also crazy. Okay? So stop. There's a reason why Coke is not on BDS. NA water is fucked, and a lot of people buy bottled water. Among other reasons, it chips away at solidarity. When people can't buy water, they need to survive because tap water is not an option. Anyway, it does matter. And I think that Coca-Cola originally was... Coca-Cola originally wasn't on the BDS list, but BDS has written about Coca-Cola, I think at a certain point, having factories in the West Bank on stolen Palestinian land. But anyway, that was a point I wanted to make. Another great example is, and I've talked about this briefly, another great example is Starbucks. How does Starbucks become such a vector for impromptu BDS activism? McDonald's as well. Well, McDonald's was a little bit more valid, right? The Israeli McDonald's branch openly was like, oh yeah, we're giving the IDF burgers. As you know, because when they're hungry, a Big Mac is really good for a side of genocide. That makes sense. Starbucks, on the other hand, the real reason why, I mean, it became a massive it became a massive thing. But Starbucks actually was originally became like a vector of anger, specifically because Starbucks union workers came into work with a Palestinian pin and they were fired. Okay, that's the reason why Starbucks was criticized heavily. Now, since then, Starbucks has also capitulated to the union as well. So that's another thing that's another, I guess, positive that came out of this impromptu, active, non-targeted boycott of Starbucks. Now, having said that, there are, for example, non-boycott targets that are not on this list that I used to fucking consume all the time. And not only do I not on camera, but I don't do it off camera either. For example, Sweetgreen. As you guys know, I used to eat Sweetgreen every fucking day. Literally every day. Chipotle and Sweetgreen were the two things I ate every single fucking day. You might have noticed that I don't actually eat at Sweetgreen any longer. And the reason for that is because the Sweetgreen CEO said some fucking unhinged shit after October 7. And I was like, that's gross. I don't want to give that person my money. I don't want to give that brand my money. You can do that if you want to on your own. Okay? That is a conscious decision that I made on my own because I thought it was really fucked up. But as far as like, boycotting these like organic boycott targets or boycotting in general, there's a reason why it's like narrow. The focus is supposed to be narrow. Successful boycotts always fundamentally relied on a divide and conquer strategy. Otherwise, the movement will burn out. Pick your targets carefully. The most egregious and ones most likely to be successful. Yes. Coca-Cola isn't on the BNC's BDS list, but it is on Friends of Al-Aqsa's list. You are correct. The factories are in Atarot. Yeah. Coca-Cola violates international law by operating on stolen Palestinian land. Stop Coca-Cola from profiting on the occupation. So that's the thing. The reason why this brand is on the Friends of Al-Aqsa Peace in Palestine Foundation in the UK, but it's not on the official BNC list, is because they probably see it as like far too broad of a brand to try to target, to make sure that their boycott is more efficient and more successful. Okay? That's it. Anyway, BDS is the one that I work off of and have worked off of. I've also made conscious decisions on my own because of the things that I've seen personally that I don't, like the Sweetgreen example that I gave. And as far as Starbucks goes, I get why people are I mean, I don't understand the severity of like Starbucks being like a main perpetrator of genocide, but I don't think it's productive to even talk about it, right? And I said this a couple months ago. If you recall, I said this a couple months ago when we were having this conversation. A couple months ago when we were having this conversation about Starbucks, I told you guys exactly where the Starbucks thing started and how much it basically blew up. How much it blew up into something much larger, despite the fact that like McDonald's had actively taken a stance. McDonald's Israel had actively taken a stance, way more so than Starbucks itself. Okay? I don't go to Starbucks because they're horrifically anti-union. Technically, they have actually, they're actually in talks with the union now. So if you were keeping up with that, or if you care about that sort of thing, Starbucks is now talking to their union. So they're in talks with the union now. They weren't before, and they were actively union busting, and now they're not as anti-union as they used to be. They're trying to fix their image. So this isn't me being like, oh, I really like Diet Coke and I want to keep drinking it. This is not about that at all. Okay? This is more so about the efficacy of boycotts and how the more targeted they are, the more specific they are, the better they are. And this is also about like how some people may come across as a little bit overzealous, even if their heart is in the right place. And they end up yelling at people who are their allies and have been their allies even before they, knew about such things. That's it. Anyway. But regardless, if I was a fraudulent individual, I probably would decide I would do one of those classic, like, here's why I left the left. Obviously, many leftists in the past have yelled at me time and time again. Okay, that is not going to change my mind. I don't care. I will, however, try to explain, at least in this community, what is productive, in my opinion, and what is not productive. Okay? And I don't think it's productive to be like, I don't think it's productive to say, you know, people that have actively been advocating for Palestinian emancipation for years, not even myself, just anyone really, who have been doing everything in their fucking physical power to be able to do their very best in the Western world, which is very limited to begin with. That, like, those guys, because you saw a TikTok list, those guys are bad because they're consuming products that you saw on that TikTok list. Okay? It feels gatekeepy. It feels like, purity seeking. And I feel like those are very unproductive, especially when we're talking about building solidarity and building a valid, successful movement. This isn't even the first time you've said this regarding this exact thing. Yes, I have talked about this a lot. I'm glad you're getting ahead of this to avoid TikTok becoming like Twitter if you can't help it. Hopefully the smear campaign doesn't succeed again. It doesn't matter. I think it will. I mean, there is plenty of avenues on TikTok that are like that already, or worse than fucking Twitter, but it doesn't matter. I said this about, like, you know, Minecraft stands a while ago, like in 2020. Minecraft stands would get, like, mad at random shit. Minecraft stands would get mad at random shit all the time about their content creators doing like a microaggression or whatever. And wonder why you talk about it a lot? Because I care. I care about how leftists present themselves. That's enough for me, honestly. The reason why I talk about it is because I care about the way that there are a lot of community organizers in here. There are a lot of leftists in here, new leftists, old leftists, okay? And I want to make sure that people are conducting themselves in a successful way for movement building in general. I want this to be a viable, long-standing movement. And it's not just about Palestine either. Okay? That's precisely the same reason why, as someone who's been doing this for many, many years at this point, both my advocacy for Palestine, but just in general for overall progressive causes, I'm telling you not to yell at that person either. Okay? Because then you're doing the same thing. You're like, oh, you're doing a bad take, Sweaty, and like yelling at that person and polarizing them against myself or this community is also unproductive. So don't do that. Be as understanding as you possibly can. Be as charitable as possible can, even when people are being uncharitable to you. Okay? That's it. All I'm going to say is I hate left punching. Leftist virtue signaling and spiraling into purity seeking is directly antithetical to the viability of leftist movements. Now we're going to watch Second Thought talk about the real reason why the U.S. wants to ban TikTok. Because guess what? TikTok is still good. Even if it does have these like weird purity spirals and baby leftists being like super aggro on things. And I've seen a lot of people come and go over the course of the past 10 plus years. Okay? A lot of overnight lefties, a lot of new baby lefties will be very, are very hardened, and they have a lot of edge to them. They don't have like, they haven't taken like L's over and over again. They haven't fully like understood what it takes to like change people's minds and whatnot. Okay? And I've seen some of those guys go from being like hardline, hardcore supporters of like socialism to fucking right-wing grifters as well over the course of years. The zealotry of the newly converted. Exactly. And you mean sensitive, not hardened. Yes, you're right. I should have said sensitive. maybe even a little hysterical from time to time. But overall, it is still objectively good. Why is it still objectively good? Because it still has a shit ton of pro-Palestinian sentiment when no such thing exists anywhere else. Okay? So let's watch this video from Second Thought now.
Before we
Friend
start
of
the
show.
video, I need to make a humble request. I don't have any sponsors left because I'm not willing to compromise my principles on the Palestine issue. AdSense revenue has also fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, this is the same for me too, by the way. It's fucking bullshit. Oh, like, TikTok is one of the only avenues where pro-Palestinian sentiment doesn't get you fucking shadow banned.
This operation is officially losing money, and that's not sustainable. If you appreciate the work we're doing here and you're in a position to help, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Every patron, regardless of pledge amount, gets early access to every video, plus access to our patrons-only Discord. We've got everything from a book club, to educators ready to answer questions, to live Q&As with me every month. If you're able to chip in even $1 a month, I would greatly appreciate your support. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Yeah. This feels bright.
Today we're talking about TikTok, the app that started out as people doing funny dances and evolved into one of the most important news sources in history. The app where you can get lost down a rabbit hole of boar running around set to Nightcore, then get a 60-second masterclass in how the CIA works from a guy who doesn't say a single word. Why does the US government want to ban TikTok so badly? Let's find out.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe. A winner. A winner.
You just know she practiced that in the mirror and was like, yeah, that's fire. Okay, cringe politicians aside, where to begin with this whole TikTok saga? I guess let's start with a quick rundown on recent events. And I want to give a disclaimer here right up front. Production for this episode started on March 15th, so I might have to add in an update at some point in the video. I'll let you know if that ends up happening. Anyway, over the last week, Congress advanced federal legislation to force ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, to sell its shares in the US version of the app. And if they don't comply, the app will be banned. Why?
China.
What nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in
asked-
Singapore. No, I did not.
Do you have a Singaporean passport?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in
Do you
Singapore.
have any other passports from any other nations?
No, Senator.
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
American politicians and the FBI have long claimed that TikTok constitutes a national security risk, that it's a Trojan horse for the Communist Party of China, basically saying that the CPC is using the app to spy on Americans. We'll get to the hypocrisy of that statement in a bit, but first let's take a brief look at the history of this attempt to get rid of TikTok. Back in 2020, Trump made the first attempt to bonk the app by signing an executive order stating that TikTok would be banned in the US if it wasn't sold within 45 days. One White House official said at the time, quote, "This 45-day delay will give Microsoft and other interested purchasers the time to deal with TikTok's owners that adequately addresses the national security concerns posed by the app." No such deals were struck, and after some negotiations, ByteDance agreed to partner with US software giant Oracle to protect US data. Which is more than a little ironic, because 2 years later, Oracle got slapped with a lawsuit for collecting and selling personal data on millions of people. That data included full names, addresses, location details, political views, and online activity. Seems like a bad company to partner with if we care about data privacy, right? In 2022, we saw the official launch of the $1.5 billion Project.
So you're mad that Hinkle talked to the Houthis because you only got a TikToker proving you are less relevant than Hinkle? Yes. Thank you. The one Hinkle Dink fan in the chat.
Referring to Oracle's Texas headquarters. TikTok began routing.
Not because he's like a weirdo fucking right-wing grifter who assumes positions specifically because he thinks he can cut out an audience or anything like that. That's a funny narrative. I'm going to go with that.
All its US user data through Oracle's cloud service.
There's like 8 Hinkle heads out there, and we found one of them.
At which point, Oracle supposedly vetted the app's algorithms and moderation tools to make sure there was no outside influence from the Chinese government. TikTok was fully compliant, having worked for over a year to partition its US version backend and code for US corporate approval. Despite the company jumping through all the hoops it was asked to, the Biden admin cranked up the pressure, banning TikTok from all federal US devices in February 2023. The following month, TikTok CEO Shou Chu was grilled by a panel of US politicians in a hearing more than a little reminiscent of McCarthy-era
Spicy Purple, shut the fuck up, okay? Please, you're missing the point. You're ridiculous. I mean, it's goofy as hell, but why die on this hill, say you'll switch to something and take the Zoomer W? No. Have you not learned your lesson? You've been in here for 20 months. I am the most stubborn fucking piece of shit you've ever seen. Maybe outside of Norman Finkelstein, okay? No, I'm not going to fucking capitulate to like the framework of Zoomers that don't fucking understand it, especially when I'm talking about like more efficient ways of boycotting that are targeted. If BDS tomorrow said no more fucking Diet Coke or no more Coke in general, then yes, I would drop it, okay? That's it. But as long as it's like TikTok callouts, it's not going to happen. You need to understand something, okay? I'm a very stubborn person. And that is, in some ways, what makes me a little bit more honest than the average person in the political commentary field. I don't give a fuck if something that I am advocating for is gonna piss people off or rub people the wrong way. I did this with the Hogwarts stuff too. And back then, everyone on Twitter was talking about how fucking transphobic I am and how I want to kill trans people because I said Hogwarts Legacy is a dumb boycott. It's not going to work. The game in and of itself is not even like directly related. The game itself is made by developers that are, some of the developers are trans that made the game. There's trans characters in the fucking game. The game is pro-trans in general. And the average person doesn't make that same connection between Hogwarts and J.K. Rowling. A much better, more efficient way of dealing with that would have been to play Hogwarts Legacy if you wanted to and raise funds for Trans Lifeline or something like that. Okay? That's what I wanted to do. Everybody yelled at me. I didn't fucking play the game regardless. I wasn't going to play it anyway. And it was pretty funny that the right wing did the exact same thing back then. Hassan is a slave to his audience. If I was a slave to my audience, I wouldn't have fucking spoken out about how silly this thing was. And I was vindicated, by the way. Did I stop defending trans people because a bunch of Twitter accounts were farming and said that I was anti-trans? No, of course not. Just like I will not stop defending Palestinian emancipation as I have for the past 10 fucking years just because some TikToker said that I'm actually fake and a grifter and everyone is coming to terms with that. It's like, I'm sorry, but at a certain point I have to ask, what the fuck have you done? You know what I mean? There are things like, what the fuck have you done? Okay? This community raised $1.3 million for all of the Palestinian charities before you even knew what the names of those fucking charities were. On October 8th, we were raising funds for Palestinian charities, PCRF, ANERA, MAP, Medical Aid for Palestine, Palestinian Red Crescent. You only learned about them a couple months ago. I was working with them before you even fucking knew about those charities. Shut the fuck up. Okay? God damn. It's ridiculous. So no, I'm not going to fucking be like, oh, let me give the Zoomers a W. No, I'm going to be stubborn as fuck. I don't care. My way or the highway on this regard, okay? What if it's a daily volunteer for MAP? You never know. I'm just talking about the broader TikTok momentum on this stuff. Even though I do still appreciate and I love how much people are riding for Palestine. Okay? What is this? I'm trans. If Austin can eat at Chick-fil-A, I can be a witch. Fuck leftist Twitter. I doubt that girl on TikTok didn't support Palestine until October. No, I'm not talking about her. I'm sure she was. Even though, given what I suspect her age is, okay, I assume she's young. She's on TikTok. You know, when she was probably 6 to 8 years old, I was still fucking advocating for professionally and openly advocating for Palestinian emancipation. Okay, that's my point. My point is, you know, I've It's ridiculous to fucking consider me fraudulent in this regard. Anyway. One of the first things Chomsky and others are clear to express is make sure that what you are doing is ultimately helpful to the people you're trying to help rather than harm their cause. Exactly.
Communist witch hunts. Chu came prepared with relevant data, including the correct assessment that US software has a clear track record of abusing user privacy while TikTok does not. But that sort of thing doesn't really matter when the panel isn't actually there to collect information. As TikTok spokesperson Brooke Obervetter reported to US media after the event, quote, "The day was dominated by political grandstanding that failed to acknowledge the real solutions already underway." 2 months later, in May 2023, we began to see the first state-level TikTok bans, with some more extreme than others. The state of Montana was on course to ban the app entirely, threatening ISPs with a $10,000 per day per violation fine for allowing the app to be downloaded. This law was set.
You are a Zionist stooge who attacks anti-imperialism while wearing a dress. Yes, bro, I got it. You're a fucking beacon of masculinity because you're terrified of a dude who's not afraid of just wearing a dress or painting his fucking fingernails, okay? While fucking your mom. I got it. You attack Finkel and Fed Jack and him. You're a Zionist stooge who attacks anti-imperialism while wearing a dress. Chat, roll that fucking roll that hinkle-dink. Roll that hinkle-dink fucking clip of him riding Netanyahu from like last year. Let's find it. Oh, fuck. The account has been, that account has been suspended. God damn it. He's over here talking about like the wonderful relationship that Netanyahu has with Vladimir Putin. Perfectly fine with him back then. When he's perfectly fine with him back then. You are deliberately and autistically misunderstanding him because you have nothing on him. Yeah, autistically misunderstanding him because I have nothing on him. The only thing I have on him is that he is a fucking fan, okay? He's a fan who switched teams.
Good working relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu. Vladimir Putin has a very good working relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm actually happier that for the sake of, the multipolar world order, that he is in power right now compared to the previous coalition in Israel. Xi Jinping of the Communist Party.
He's happy that Netanyahu is in power as opposed to the previous coalition, dude. It's great because it's multipolar world stuff.
Of China has a good working relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, better than the previous coalition.
There's the difference, okay? I acknowledge that Benjamin Netanyahu had a working relationship with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin and routinely talk about it and routinely criticize it. I don't think that it's a good thing, okay? You, on the other hand, only care about the aesthetics. So you're just a dumb fuck with right-wing beliefs who thinks like liberals are cringe because they are. That's fine. We agree on that. But you have no problem like adopting the aesthetics of what you think is like communist anti-imperialism while simultaneously fucking sitting around and being like, yeah, these guys are great. These guys are fine when they're doing multipolarity.
You know who else has?
Yes, I'm a CCP shill. Exactly. Not a fucking Russia shill. Get it right.
It's a good working relationship. You know who?
What do you think in 2022? Netanyahu was a good guy because he had a good working relationship? He had a good fucking working relationship with, what do you call it? He had a good working relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, so it was good? Was that good back then? 2022 was a good year for Palestinians under Netanyahu's watch? Shut the fuck up,
to go into
dumb
effect
fuck.
January 1st, 2024, but it got shot down in federal court in November of 2023. And that just about brings us...
Hamas says the same. Yeah, okay. He's saying that because Netanyahu will take down the government faster. Hamas says the same thing. Okay, dude. Yeah, totally. That's what he meant.
To today. On Wednesday, March 13th, the House passed a bill that...
It's weird that he didn't say that, though, in that clip. He actually, as a matter of fact, said... no, it's great for multipolarity. That Benjamin Netanyahu is better for multipolarity.
Will force TikTok to sell to U.S. buyers within 165 days. It wasn't particularly close either, with 352 voting for the ban and just 65 against. What makes this bill particularly interesting is the speed with which it was discussed and sent to a vote. From introduction to floor vote took just 4 days. Funny how politicians will ban the world's most popular app in under a week, but won't give the American people affordable healthcare, or do anything about school shootings, or skyrocketing housing costs, or reproductive rights, or climate change, or the ongoing genocide in which they are complicit. Anyway, Biden has said he'll sign the bill if it passes in the Senate. So there we go, you're all caught up. The question now is, why? Why is the US government so adamant about banning TikTok?
Bro, you're still a dumbass. The chatter, you're chatter who's like still talking about Netanyahu's bringing about the death and destruction of Israel, which is good for multipolarity. That's not the reason why fucking Xi is collaborating with him, dumb fuck. Xi Jinping is purchasing weapons and surveillance technology. That's why he's collaborating with him, not because he's thinking, ooh, this is great. Netanyahu is going to accelerate the demise of Israel. Fuck you. Okay, you're stupid. That's my point. Be smart, okay? Be smart. There's a place for learning. You can learn new things here, okay? Same goes for fucking Vladimir Putin.
They use the China excuse, but China has never threatened us. If anything, we're economically dependent on China for the cheap goods that poorly paid Americans couldn't afford to buy otherwise. Not to mention the fact that if our government actually cared about data privacy, they'd crack down on Facebook, or Oracle, or Google, or any number of other US corporations that do the same exact thing they're accusing TikTok of doing. It should be clear to anyone paying attention that this was never about data security. So, what is it about? Well,
China was buying American arms that were shipped over to Israel for a very long time. You're wrong for saying that that's
Let's
not
start
the case.
with one that would be funny if it weren't so scary. Those kids and their dang iPhones.
What?
Foreign adversary control of what is becoming the dominant news platform for Americans under 30. This is a common sense measure to protect our national security. I urge my colleagues to support this critical bipartisan legislation.
The dominant news platform for Americans under 30. Let's unpack that. The United States relies on propaganda, like any other country, to ensure that its people are getting the information the ruling class wants them to get. In capitalist countries like the US, that propaganda is bought by lobbying groups and powerful corporations, laundered through corrupt politicians, and dutifully repeated on the corporate media and Silicon Valley social media apps. What does it mean for the status quo if the majority of Americans, and more critically, young Americans, entire generations of youth, are not getting their news from state-approved sources? That's a one-way ticket to unrest, to people getting fed up with how bad things have gotten, to protests and marches that the US would rather not have to suppress. When the US ruling class sees an app that is not owned by US oligarchs and tech bros, it immediately becomes a threat because they can't curate the feeds. They can't tweak the algorithm to prefer State Department talking points. There's a reason Lenin said, "Give me just one generation of youth and I'll transform the whole world." Revolutionaries recognize that the youth are the future, and the best way to either enforce or break the status quo is to win the hearts and minds of the next generation. It shouldn't come as a surprise that the most vocal supporters of Palestinian liberation are young people. They don't get fed pro-Israel propaganda on cable news, or Facebook, or in the New York Times. I made a video about the US media's complicity in the genocide a couple weeks ago. You can check that out if you'd like to see exactly how this consent manufacturing works. The bottom line in the media...
Remember when Shaq got mad because he called NPR state-sponsored media? Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it is.
The aspect of all this is that TikTok is the only widely used media platform that is not directly beholden to the US ruling class. In order to maintain the deeply inhumane and worsening status quo, the US regime must control every single aspect of what Americans consider news. But going back to the young people marching for change, that brings us to the second big reason the US is so eager to ban TikTok. It's becoming inconvenient for the foreign government that actually is meddling in US affairs. Israel. Remember Mike Gallagher, that guy you saw a couple minutes ago? The one complaining that the kids aren't consuming US propaganda? Would you like to venture a guess who his biggest contributors are? In the 2022 cycle, it was AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, a rabidly pro-Israel and incredibly powerful lobbying group that, coincidentally, also heavily funds Joe Biden, the man who, for some reason, can't bring himself to stop sending weapons to the rogue state committing the most obvious genocide in modern history. And it's not just these two. Almost every single US politician has accepted money from the Israel lobby.
AIPAC Political Action Committee, AIPAC-PAC, filed something called a Statement of Organization with the FEC just in time for the 2022 election cycle, where it spent $50 million, including both direct contributions to candidates and outside spending, like TV advertisements. According to AIPAC, it donated money to 365 candidates from both parties, including every single member of both Democratic and Republican leadership in Congress.
We'll get back to the Israel lobby in a sec, but I also want to highlight that
Haven't we always said it was smart for China to ban Facebook? Why isn't it an equally smart thing that we have to do the same thing for TikTok? Because, okay, let me explain it to you in very simple terms, okay? The problem with TikTok in the eyes of the American state isn't that it's owned by China. The problem with TikTok in the eyes of the American state is that because it's owned by China, there are way less restrictions on what kind of commentary can be placed on it. Okay, that's definitely a big factor. Another reason why they want to do it is because of profit. They see TikTok as a very profitable social media enterprise. America comprises like what, 10% of the entire audience. By the way, 170 million Americans use TikTok, but that's still a not a major part of TikTok's revenue streams, and they want that revenue stream to be handed off to an American owner. They want TikTok to be they want ByteDance to divest from TikTok, ByteDance being a Chinese company. Okay? It is absolutely ridiculous. If the American government was instead saying we need to get a fucking stranglehold on social media narratives and we need to regulate it somehow, and I don't even know what the best possible way to do that is for the record, but if they were to do that and they wanted to do like Chinese style restrictions on what kind of information gets put on social media, they would already do that for every social media platform, not just specifically try to get TikTok to be sold to an American CEO. Okay? They don't give a fuck about data privacy. They don't give a fuck about what kind of messages are promoted on these platforms, especially because most of the message that is promoted on these platforms are incredibly fucking reactionary. Okay? They don't give a shit about that. That's the point. I don't know why you think it's like, why I would be on board with this. I don't even like TikTok all that much either, for the record, with the exception of this latest Palestine stuff. Like it did definitely show. Like I was advocating to ban TikTok when Trump was saying that he wanted to ban TikTok. My mind has been changed on this issue. I thought it was fucking bullshit. I thought it was awful. I thought it was like breaking the brains of so many people. And to be honest, I still think it's breaking the brains of a lot of people, but it also simultaneously is one of the only outlets. Look at Meta, look at Instagram versus TikTok on the issue of coverage over Palestinian lives, and you will understand what I mean. Okay?
Gallagher's biggest donor in the past election cycle has been Palantir, the software company literally named after an evil orb used by dark forces to spy on people. It shouldn't surprise you that Palantir, founded by the notorious Silicon Valley billionaire Peter Thiel, worked with the NSA to create the most comprehensive digital espionage apparatus ever conceived. Palantir was co-created with American spies. One of its earliest investors was the CIA, and the company will not disclose any of its contracts with the government, despite making over $1 billion from these clandestine partnerships. Forgive me if I'm just a little skeptical about the intentions of this anti-spying bill, given that its main sponsor is funded by the world's largest spying machine. I feel like I need to get out some red string or something. This stuff goes deep. Anyway, back to the Israel lobby. And before we go any further, I think it's important to put a little disclaimer here. There are bad actors online trying to weaponize the rightful criticism of Israel to push an anti-Semitic agenda. I'll put it bluntly. If you are one of those people, you will be banned from my comment section on site. You are not welcome here. You cannot equate Zionism with Judaism. The two have nothing to do with each other, as evidenced by the horrific treatment of devout Jews at the hands of the fascist Zionist forces. The only reason some people are confused at the distinction is because it's convenient for the Israeli apartheid regime to conflate Zionism with Judaism. and therefore all their propaganda revolves around trying to get people to think that condemnation of Israel is the same as hatred of Jewish people. This will go down in history as some of the most damaging anti-Semitic propaganda ever devised, and we all need to reject it. All right, we all on the same page? Disclaimer over.
Second thought has become so incredibly base. No, he was always like this. He was literally always like this. Have you seen the Donghua Jinglong TikToks? No, I don't know. Everyone is talking about it, though. I wanted to dive into that today. Yeah, ByteDance investor response to all of this was
What
this.
stake do you have in ByteDance? Can you tell us?
We don't get into specifics of our investment size, but it's like a pretty material stake.
How long ago did you get in?
We first invested, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, and recently bought some more.
Okay, and this is a company that has an incredibly rich valuation if you ask anybody on the street, and just what it's going to be worth. However, what's happening in Washington right now really throws this into an entirely new worldview, I guess. What are you thinking right now?
For me, it's funny, from a headline number, people would say 200 billion, 250 billion. The company was buying back stock at 270 billion. Well, that seems crazy. However, what people should remember is 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, ByteDance is worth 200 billion, and Facebook is now, was worth 300 billion. Fast forward to today, Facebook is worth 1.3 trillion or thereabouts. ByteDance is worth 240, 250, 260 billion. Yet the companies are roughly the same size, when one's growing 3x plus faster. ByteDance is just an incredible business. What people in the United States need to also remember, so first, I am not a policy expert, right? But what people need to remember is ByteDance, TikTok US is a very small part of the overall business. It is an exciting part of the story for sure, but relative, it's not profitable. And just relative to the overall size, it's a very small part.
Okay, so you're looking at what happens in Washington as almost a non-issue, because even if the U.S. part is shut down or kicked off and sold, you're looking at ByteDance overall. But let's talk about the U.S.
Let's talk about the U.S. business for sure.
Because right now
Introducing
you've got the House
Donghua
passing a bill
Jinglong
that says you either have to divest or ban it. The Senate just received intelligence briefings this week, and the senators who came out of it said, wow, this is a really concerning situation. So it probably is more likely to get fast-tracked than it was at the beginning of the week.
It is going to make a lot of great news headlines for the next many, many months. I think there's a lot of different ways you could see it playing out.
Here's the thing, though. The U.S. market is smaller than the Indian market, but if the U.S. bans TikTok, they'll press other countries too as well. Yeah, no, they won't. No, the fuck they won't. Because other countries have already, the other countries have less to complain about TikTok. You want to know why? The other countries have less to complain about TikTok because they already have regulations implemented in those countries about some of the things that America is using as a complaint against TikTok. America has no restrictions whatsoever on data privacy. America has no restrictions whatsoever on whatever kind of fucking content flies off the handles on every social media app. And it's ironic because those issues, those government lack of restriction, the lack of restriction that the government promotes has caused these issues on TikTok that it has on every other fucking social media platform, except in EU. And in other countries where TikTok operates, they already have those regulations. So the politicians can't even fucking point to those problems. That's why I keep saying if America had an issue with the kind of content that is shown on TikTok, or if America had an issue with all this shit, data privacy or whatever, they would actually set standards and restrict data privacy, to ensure that data privacy exists in the country. But they don't care about that at all. They're just using it as a fucking talking point. All right, let's continue with this.
Now let's take a look at how Israel is able to influence this TikTok legislation and why they're so desperate to do it. Here are some quick stats. TikTok has about 103 million active users in the US. More than 1 in 3 mobile internet users actively engage with the app. Half of the user base is between the ages of 10 and 29. And half the content creators are between 18 and 24. So you've got a massive user base, which also skews quite young. Now look at this. Pro-Palestinian sentiment vastly, and I really mean vastly outnumbers pro-Israel content. Millions of users, millions of posts, an endless stream of content cataloging and explaining Israel's crimes against humanity. If I'm an Israeli official and I see 2 whole generations of young people rightly condemning my fascist project, I'm gonna do everything in my power to shut down that platform. But don't just take it from me. Here's some leaked audio from a phone call with ADL Chief Executive Jonathan Greenblatt.
Apartheid Defense League.
I also want to point out that we have a major generational problem. All the polling I've seen, ADL's polling, ICC's polling, independent polling, suggests this is not a left-right gap, folks. The issue in the United States' support for Israel is not left and right.
Oh, dude, you love to see someone that you don't like post your W's in the chat. You know what I mean? Just like hysterically post your W's in the chat while hyperventilating about it. It's fucking so good. God damn, that shit is good. It feels good to be a gangster, baby. It feels good. Not as good as the top of the hour ad break feels when you're subscribed and you don't see it though. Like that feeling of euphoria that you get at the top of the hour knowing that you're not going to see a 3-minute ad break. Oh, so good. Anyway, at the top of the hour, there is a 3-minute ad break, of course. If you no longer want to see those ads, if you want to feel good, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. That's right, baby. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
It is young and old. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains
Mekazam, thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this, like fast. Because again, like we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation.
Again, here we have someone who understands that the next generation will be the determining factor in what the world looks like for the next 50 years. But instead of trying to advocate for positive change or an end to the genocide, the ADL and AIPAC and the rest of the Israel lobby is trying to shut down the people's ability to access vital information about the state of the world. They are actively trying to hide Israeli war crimes because it makes them look bad. So, just in case I haven't been perfectly clear, there is a foreign government meddling in US affairs. But it's not China, it's Israel. This bill was never about China supposedly spying on US citizens. The government doesn't care about that. They haven't even provided any evidence to support their claims. This is just a clear example that the empire is spooked by a media outlet they don't control, they want to force the company to sell so that they can control it, and the process is being expedited because the Israel lobby has enormous sway in our political machinery. Money, corruption, the maintenance of empire. That's all this is. And so there are a few main takeaways from this whole TikTok saga. First, the United States wants to make sure it has a monopoly on collecting and selling our data, as well as a complete control over our media landscape. Second, a genocidal apartheid regime is blatantly meddling in our affairs to prevent people from opposing the genocide. And third, anytime the government tells you they can't move quickly on an issue, they are lying through their teeth. From introduction to vote to the president promising to sign the bill in less than a week. They can pass whatever they want.
I don't want to ban TikTok, and I think that we shouldn't be restricting TikTok to promote anti-Palestinian messages more. I thought that was clear. Are you disagreeing with second thought? I might be missing the nuance, but regulating the content instead of banning it would mean starting the conversation in Congress regarding censorship instead of quickly reviving legislation that has been ready to go for several months. I don't think that we are going to arrive at a solid solution in the United States of America as it pertains to restricting the free flow of communication on any of these social media platforms.
It just so happens that will never be what we want. They'll move quickly for war or to cover for genocide, but they won't protect our children in school. They won't codify reproductive rights. They won't do anything about climate change. This is the bottom line when we're talking about capitalist regimes. The dominance of capital
34
is
MKD
always
50. They give it the 50 big
100% of
ones.
the time the thing that gets government action. APAC money, great. Fossil fuel money, great. Pharmaceutical money, great. Improving the lives of their people, walking back from the brink of nuclear war, stopping a genocide? Not a chance. I always end these videos with a call to action to get organized. Join a socialist organization, build dual power structures and class consciousness. Mass mobilization is the only thing that's worked in the past, and it's the only thing that'll work today. But I also want people to really think about the world we're living in. This isn't me as a YouTuber trying to make a cool video anymore. This is me as a human being living in 2024 with you. What's it going to take to get Americans to open their eyes to the fact that we are living in a...
My friends keep telling me this has to do with potential security concerns regarding China's access to U.S. data. What do you think about this? Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. They can just buy it off data brokers anyway. What do you mean? Like, what are we talking about? It's more costly for China to like spy on American citizens via TikTok, to operate TikTok inside of the U.S. borders, than it is to just buy it. It's sold for pennies on the open market. Why the fuck would they have to like... Why the fuck would they have to, you know, personally... Why would they have to personally document it or personally calculate it? Which, by the way, it doesn't even matter because the data storage is now being handled in, by Oracle in the United States. So they already fucking dealt with that data privacy concern. Notice how they're not talking about that much now? While TikTok has become a hub for pro-Palestinian content and IOF war crime self-reports, Meta is looking to de-emphasize news content. Exactly. So, like... The data is now also being stored in the United States by American hands. Don't worry. They relegated the data storage to an American company after the last time this happened.
A violent, decaying empire that does not care whether we live or die. As long as the ruling class can still squeeze out a profit.
As someone working in cybersecurity, it's not bullshit and you can't buy the same data they're collecting off brokers, but it is easily prevented without blocking the program. They're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah, that's the other thing, like location data or whatever the fuck, like maybe some other, maybe some of the other data that you could get specifically without, well, you can buy location data, but I'm sure there's data that you can get when you manage an app that you otherwise wouldn't be able to purchase, I guess, right? I think the most valuable data, on the other hand, is just like very easily sold on the marketplace regardless. But the thing is, there's no restrictions on that sort of thing at all for anyone else, for any other social media platform. There's no restrictions on data privacy at all. There's no regulation on data privacy.
They will keep this machine churning until the wheels fall off and we're all crushed. I'm asking you as a person now. Please, follow one of the links in the description and join some socialist organization. I don't care which one. Go to some meetings, see what you think, and then come back to the comments here and tell me which one you chose and what projects your chapter is working on.
Weeby, you should have a little bit of shame. Demonstrate a little bit of shame and decency in the chat. China shouldn't know how often I watch Brett Cooper TikToks. Jesus Christ, man.
That's...
My man, you are out of control. You're out of control, brother. What the hell's going on? It's crazy. It's madness. Anyway, all right. What else are we gonna do today? We're doing fun shit. I've moved on from the less fun. Weeby is first of the gulag. Yeah, Brett Cooper is the guy that fingers chicken. Oh, we're gonna do ban appeals in a little bit. Hassan, great news. I started Politics Journal here where I write about everything I'm learning because I'm so new to politics still. You defined fascism for me in a stream a couple of weeks ago, and I know so much more now. Thank you so much. Hell yeah. So I'm talking about what? Tabletop card game for divorced dads? Oh, God. First, you scammed Weeby yesterday for $20. Now you expose him to the 18K people watching. No shame. Excuse me. I didn't even scam him. If anything, you could fucking say that I scammed all the other people that gave way more money after Weeby to watch the Moist Critical video. Oh,
members of Congress, members of the Senate, and that.
Here's a good work with another banger video. Should politicians be allowed to trade stocks? Friend of the show, good work. Came out with another banger. We'll watch Hoscore TikToks afterwards. Did we talk about the Fresh and Fit drama? Yes, extensively yesterday.
House have access to all.
Oh, before I guess we can watch this, but I did want to do the Donghua thing. What is this? Did you see this dog? China is light years ahead. Dude, Chinese ingenuity never ends. It never ceases to amaze me. So Donghua, apparently this is what's going on. People are talking about this thing. I don't know what it is. Donghua Jin.
Introducing Donghua Jinlong's food-grade glycine. Unlock Donghua Jinlong's food-grade glycine in 2024. Suitable as a flavor enhancer, sweetener, and nutritional supplement. Also used in pickles, sweet sauces, soy sauce, vinegar, and juices to improve taste. We've been deeply involved in this field for over 40 years. A well-established brand and a large factory. Committed to providing you with high-quality, high-standard, and cost-effective products.
I have no idea what the fuck this is. I just hear people consistently talking about it. And it's like one of those things that hasn't made it to my For You page. Well, to be fair, I haven't really watched. I really haven't watched TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok in a while, but let's see.
Jinlong food grade glycine stuff. Hilarious, by the way. Keep it up. But we are dangerously close to this trend being played in front of Congress.
Why choose Donghua Jinlong as your partner? The food grade glycine produced by Donghua Jinlong. Their products stick to strict production standards like FCC, E640, USP, BP, HIPAA, and JSFA. Passed ISO 22000, ISO 9000, and one ISO 40001, ISO 45001, BRC, FAMX Kosher, Halal Reach, and other international certifications. Food safety is guaranteed, and the quality.
Wasn't this like a Cumtown meme or something? Didn't this start as like this is a Cumtown fan? That name is from the bit. Yeah, no. Oh, for my newsletter this week, I wrote about how an industrial chemical manufacturer became a TikTok meme and what Chinese influence actually looks like on TikTok. Yeah, so here.
The Donghua Jinlong glycine factory is the internet's latest obsession.
Obviously the best industrial grade glycine on the market. We all know that.
It all started when the factory's TikTok account started posting videos gassing up its products back in late 2023. And despite the happy music and sparkling effects on each clip, the advertisements come across as a bit of an industrialist hellscape, as dark grey buildings squat amongst towering pillars of unknown purpose. It almost seems like they're making a joke, what with also announcing all codes and regulations they adhere to like some sort of cyberpunk afterthought. Since then, the account has continued posting these propaganda clips, and people have turned them into memes that take the vibe of Donghua Jinlong's account and push it to its extreme logical limit. Some creators even use deepfakes to make memes out of celebrities, as if they were the brand's
high-quality industrial.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's finish this and then
this
I'll
random factory in China that manufactures glycine. Glycine, by the way, is an amino acid that can be synthesized by way of factory production and is often sold as a mild food additive. In an online connected world, there's a greater understanding of where our foods come from, as well as the fact that some of these places are perhaps less than savory. After all, Chinese factories are not well known for their labor protection standards, and are probably listing all the codes they adhere to break this stereotype. But this is also about taking something completely banal, something completely unremarkable as a food additive, and worshipping it as if it were world-changing. You may be aware that glycine exists, but you will probably never be able to hold it in your hands and understand it as it sits in front of you, and thus we have this abstract concept of a food product from China becoming an idea made real in the form of memes. As China rises as a superpower, the memes referencing it only seem to increase, including bits from the past such as Chinese Eggman, Squareface Guy shouting, John Cena Bing Chilling, Social Credit, Lao Gan Ma, and of course now the Donghua Jinlong factory. The satirical take on what is ultimately a passionless endeavor for a food additive manages to poke fun at a world where even a Chinese
Dude, this is literally what we needed. Oh my God. Sometimes you need someone to like describe memes and metas for those with autism. Okay. This video straight up in under 2 minutes and 40 seconds basically did what I try to do all the time whenever there's a joke on screen accidentally, and everybody fucking yells and goes, "What is happening?" Perfectly describing exactly what the meme is in the most autistic way possible.
Chinese factory has a TikTok brand account created with the sole purpose of humanizing itself. Brands use social media accounts to appear more personable and more human than just a corporate faceless entity. However, in this situation, the bizarre videos from the Donghua Jinlong factory that extensively cover the process of glycine production feel more dystopian than personable, and there is absolutely a cynical humor in the celebration of that process. What meme would you guys like me to give a lesson?
That's awesome. I'm glad that this guy exists. My friend has been sending me these for the longest time. I didn't know it was a meme, Lamau. 25 more days until Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Shaking my head. Listen, it's good that you guys learned about it. This was what I remember seeing on Twitter, I think.
Industrial grade glycine coming from Donghua Jinlong. Over the years, it has been committed to the development and research.
You know this is AI because I don't think Nick Mullen would ever waste an opportunity to fucking say Donghua Jinlong correctly. Okay? Nick Mullen is not the type of guy who's not going to fucking hit those notes, okay? He's going to hit those fucking notes. Anytime there's Mandarin, he's saying it, okay?
Research of food additives and fine chemicals. They've got their own core tech with a whopping 31 patents under their belt and a whole lot of production experience. They even had a hand in drafting and setting the industrial standards for industrial grade glycine. You can bet on quality, totally trustworthy.
Yeah, there ain't no fucking way my man would not be hitting the high notes on that. This is AI. Absolutely AI.
Why is Donghua Jinlong's industrial grade glycine of high quality? Industrial grade glycine produced by Donghua Jinlong. Their products stick to strict production standards like FCC, E640, USP, BP, HIPAA, and JSFA. Both pesticides and non-toxic.
Is Red Scare even pro-China?
High quality.
Here are 3 reasons why you should source glycine from Donghua Jinlong. Choose a Chinese origin factory. Get first-hand supply. 3 reasons why Donghua Jinlong is your go-to source. Ample stock, abundant supply, exceptional innovation, all products independently developed. Own industrial chain. More reliable. A powerhouse factory lets its strength speak for itself.
Wait, you said you don't understand why a industrial food grade glycine supporter factory or a glycine factory has a TikTok account? The fuck do you mean? Have you ever seen corporate social media? It's exactly like this. The man explained it already. American glycine after this video chart with downwards trend. Exactly. That's the whole point. They're just making jokes about like
industrial decarbonizers have a wide range.
Industrial grade glycine coming from Donghua Jinlong.
It helps improve diet.
What the fuck is happening?
In the electronics industry, it's used as. Do you know what industrial grade glycine is used for? In the dyeing industry, it helps improve dye uptake. In the electronics industry, it's used as an electroplating solution additive and a pH regulator. Donghua Jinlong has been dedicated to the development and research of fine chemicals for many years. They've got their own core technology and have bagged 31 patents, boast a modern GMP production workshop and equipment. The industrial glycine they produce is widely used. Top-notch quality, stellar service.
Oh, dude, yeah. Speaking of Chinese innovation, this guy, bro.
Oh, I'm just a happy science guy.
Let me tell you something. Happy science guy from China is, this is my guy. I fucking love this guy, bro. Happy science guy from China pops the fuck off Listen.
But every day I do is to keep hearing about people telling me how awesome our sign is. Hi guys, I'm Tony from China, LC Sign. This is a perfect combination sign of stainless steel electroplated surface come with solid acrylic made of backlit effect. It adopts a wall mount installation. For backlit signs like these, we use scrolls that come with a little bit distance to the wall so that you can see the backlit effect when it's installed. And also for this design, we also cut some stainless steel electroplated leather to make it look awesome. So it's a perfect solution for those business logos who have combined complicated patterns and slogans with a majority of letters you want to display for your entire company.
He's so good. He's the GOAT.
Damn, this guy's good.